Hi everybody, welcome to the SeaJaneKnits podcast. Like every week I'm just trying to share my latest projects, things that are inspiring me in the knitting world, to hopefully inspire you to try something new, whether it's a new pattern, a new fiber, a new yarn, a new technique. So I thought that I would share, I've been talking about these Hedgehog Fiber Socks that I've been working on, and I finally finished the pair, yay! So I got a pair done. The second one went super quick as well. So I think I shared my first one on here, so I won't spend too much time on it, but super happy I got a pair done. They're the Hermiones Everyday Sock. It's a free pattern, and I knitted out of the Hedgehog Sock base, and this is the Monarch colorway, and they were so much fun to knit. I absolutely love the heel technique with this garter edging here that you picked up on. I thought that made it super easy to pick up the stitches. So yay, I'm done with a pair there. Earlier this week, Hedgehog Fibers had offered their clubs, which they did in their single ply base, their sock base, and their new twist base. And I signed up for the sock base because I absolutely loved working with it for these and can see myself using it to make socks or a little shawlette or something to that effect, mixing it with some solids or semi-solids in order to do shawls. It was just great to work with. So, totally recommend it if you're able to get your hands on some. I know that Simply Sock Yarn Company in Fort Wayne, Indiana, they have an online shop and a store in Fort Wayne that they carry it and have it online, and it's fun to kind of go on there and look through the colors that they offer. So definitely check that out if you're a sock knitter or shawl knitter or just love pretty yarns to look at and have on your shelf. So the club that they did offer both for the single ply as well as the sock base, I believe it's 3 months, with the first month being December for the club. And you get 2 skeins each month, and so 6 skeins total since it covers 3 months, and they're in some custom colorways. So it's kind of a surprise, which I thought was fun, and it'll be fun to see the custom colors just for the club. So I thought I'd take advantage of that, try it out. It's just a 3-month period. I think the one that they did on the twist sock is 3 months as well, but it's 1 skein a month. So I thought about that one. It's the twist is a BFL nylon base, I think 80/20. But I really like the sock base. I really like the, which is superwash merino and nylon, and I think it's a 90/10 if I remember correctly. So I really like that base, so I figured I'd just stick with what I know I like and get some fun new colors in it. So that's Hedgehog Fibers, and kind of continuing along the same lines as that, I cast on week 1 and finished week 1 of Stephen West's Mystery Knit Fall 2015. It's called the Doodler, and spoiler alert in case you don't want to know or you haven't looked at any of the pictures online. So I'm doing mine in the pretty Christmas colors. So I'll try to hold it up here. So I've got red and a real light gray, and you can hopefully you can see kind of how the edge ripples like that. And then my third color that I'm going to put in here is a green. Hopefully that shows up well for the camera. So I'm not really sure where this is going to come into play or what it's going to do because it's a mystery knit along, which is the fun part of it. So I will say, actually that's the wrong side I'm showing you. Here's the right side. So you can see how it kind of fans out, similar to like a butterfly wing or like an oversized butterfly wing here. But I thought it was just I had so much fun knitting this, and it was a lot of fun to do. I'm using US size 4 needles, and if I'd had a 5, I probably would have gone with a 5, but I found a 4 and figured it's a shawl and it'll work out okay. So you can see it's kind of similar to his dotted rays pattern, where it has the short rows, but I don't really know if I should call it short rows, because you don't do a wrap, you just do a turn. So you knit so far down and then don't go all the way down to the end of the row, and then you turn your work and come back the other direction, and you do that consistently to make these yarn over kind of holes here. So yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see clue number 2 and see what kind of direction he takes us. So I've got to believe, since it's Stephen West, that he's going to do some kind of brioche in there, but who knows what's in the next clue. So I think last week it came out at, you know, midnight in Amsterdam, which is where he lives, but that ended up being, so that was midnight on Friday, and that ended up being 7 p.m. my time, Eastern Standard Time. So so hopefully tonight at 7 I'll be able to see what the next clue is and get going on that. I had hoped that I would make enough progress. Oh, and I have it here in my mustache project bag, which is super fun. So just the Christmas theme continuation. So I had hoped that I would have that clue 1 done early enough in the week that I could continue working on my exploration station, which was what I started for his mystery knit along last fall, or last winter. And, ooh, I stopped mid-row. It might be a little difficult to show you, so apologies for that, but I had stopped at the beginning of this brioche section because I really was not comfortable at that point in time with brioche, which is this kind of 3-dimensional 2-color stitch here, with the green and the brown. Kind of hold it up a little more so you can see some more of my colors, hopefully. Yeah. So, but I absolutely love the colors I picked, the 4 colors I picked for this one. And now that I am more comfortable with brioche and have done that Brioche-alicious shawl by Andrea Mowry and some other things with, little things with brioche, I went ahead and finished that, and then I'm on kind of the slip stitch or the textured stitch kind of part up here with the blue and the green. So I'm hoping I can get this done and get my Doodler done, and then have 2 new shawls to wear this winter. So I think that would be fun, and the yarn on this one is just amazing. I've got some Zen Garden and some Tosh Merino Light. It's nice yarn that I picked for this one. It's nice yarn on my one for this year too, the Doodler for this year too. But so I've got lots of fingering weight yarn. The one thing that I was kind of surprised on, the shawls that I've knit of Stephen West in the past have been on a size US 6, or sometimes I'll do them on a 7 because I knit pretty tight. But the Doodler, he calls for a US 4. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. The drapiness of the fabric isn't going to be quite the same, but I'm sure he's got a reason behind it, and so that's what I'm going with and trusting the pattern. So I've got that one. And so those are the 2 main projects that I'm working on right now, and just really concentrating on the Doodler, that the current mystery knit along, to get that one done in the time increments as he releases clues. So he releases a clue once a week, I think through the end of, I want to say it's through the end of this month, and that there's 4 clues on this one. So so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I can keep up. Things have been even more crazy than normal around here, so just trying to keep up with everything else that's going on and then get my knitting time in addition to it. So I've been trying to get up early in the mornings and work on it and catch a few rows here and there at lunch or whatever it may be. So that's the main part of what I'm doing. I did knit a hat for my son out of those colors that I showed in a previous podcast, and I know I posted pictures on Instagram under SeaJaneKnits on Instagram, and he loves it. So he is super excited about this hat, which makes me really happy, and I hope that he keeps it in his possession and doesn't lose it at school, but if he does, you know, we'll figure it out. I made it for him to wear, and if it gets lost, it gets lost, but right now it's keeping him warm, and today is a super, super windy day here in Indiana, so hopefully he had that on at recess and kept his ears warm. So that's what I worry about most, is that the kids getting wind in their ears, so I try to make that ribbing around the brim of the hat extra dense and at least a couple inches to try to cover their ears and make sure that they're nice and warm. So, and as I'm saying that, as I was getting out of the car at work this morning, knowing how windy it was, somehow I managed to not have a hat in the car. So here I was walking into work with the collar of my jacket all tucked up around my ears, trying to keep myself warm. So tonight I'm going to make sure I've got a pair of at least fingerless mitts, if not mittens, and a hat in my car. So, because I think it's supposed to be windy through Saturday. So, keep myself from getting sick too. Now, I don't know if I should tell you this because I'm kind of embarrassed, but I absolutely love them. So I've been watching Hallmark Christmas movies already. And in one of those movies, one of the characters had on this beautiful cabled red, like Christmas red kind of hat with a giant pom-pom. I mean, like huge, 4-inch, maybe 5-inch pom-pom, huge pom-pom on the top. So then that got me to thinking, as soon as I saw it, man, I really wish I had a red hat. So I just thought it was really cheery and really Christmassy to go along with the season. So I went stash diving, and unfortunately I didn't find any red yarn that I would have enough of to knit a hat for myself. So I went to my local yarn shop, and they had Malabrigo Rios in the Ravelry red colorway. So try to hold this up here. I don't know how the red will do in the camera, especially since I don't have a whole lot of natural light right now. So this is the Ravelry red colorway, and it really is a Christmas red kind of color. It's a heavy worsted weight yarn, so I thought that there's a plucky knitter pattern that I have for a hat that is pretty cabled and I think calls for a worsted weight yarn. So I thought I would try with that and see how it does. I think it'll be great. I've used Malabrigo Rios on so many things, and it is just kind of a go-to yarn. It's superwash merino, so you know, it holds up really well, especially for something that's cabled or has a textured stitch pattern. It's great. The stitch definition is awesome. And I will say though, if you're knitting something that is not necessarily on a looser gauge, but is just stockinette, and so like a sweater, if it's just a stockinette sweater and it doesn't have a whole lot of structure to it with seams, you're going to get some stretch on it. So I knit I don't know if I showed that on the last podcast, I knit the Antros, which is a Shannon Cook pattern. It's a sweater, and I knit that out of Malabrigo Rios in the Sandbank colorway, which is this real pretty neutral tan kind of colorway. And I have to be really careful about how I lay that out after I've washed it, because I really don't want it down to my knees. So it's a beautiful sweater and the yarn feels amazing, but just be careful if you are choosing Malabrigo Rios or really any superwash merino yarn for a garment that it is going to grow in the vertical direction on you. So yeah, but obviously I love the yarn. I've used it for so many things. I used it on Caitlin's hat that I shared for the brim, and that was in the Purple Mystery colorway, which I love. I've used it on a couple other things that I've knit for her. I've used it on hats for myself before, so it, like I said, it is kind of my go-to yarn, and Malabrigo's colors are always fairly consistent, and this base just looks so vibrant. It's not looking like it's showing up on the camera as well as what it does in real life, but the Ravelry red is just beautiful. So hopefully I can get a snapshot in some natural light tomorrow and post it on Instagram. So those are the main kind of projects that I'm working on. You know, definitely check my Instagram account out to see those pictures that I post of my progress on both my shawls and as I cast on this hat. I was looking through my yarn stash, like I said, to try to find some red worsted weight yarn, and came across the plucky yarn that I have. I have a cube. I have the white, I think 12 by 12 kind of cubes, and I have one cube that's full of my plucky stash, and I really need to queue up some projects to do with that once I get done with these shawls here, because I absolutely love the yarn and need to knit it up. So that is kind of lingering there as I work on projects and look through stuff on Ravelry. That's in the back of my mind as to, okay, how am I going to use this? I have a couple skeins of their Scholar base that I bought to knit some boot cuffs with, and I think that would be really nice, whether they're for myself or as a gift for somebody to get done around Christmas time. And then I have a couple, oh shoot, what is that base? I have a couple skeins of, it's a chunky base. I want to say it's their Snug base, but it's a chunky weight. And to do some fingerless mitts with that I thought would be really nice. So maybe those will kind of be my next two projects after I get the shawls done to do. So I did notice, because I was working so much on the Doodler, the Christmas shawl that I showed you, that the way that I tension my yarn, I knit English, so I knit with my right hand. I don't throw, I kind of flick. And so the way that I tension my yarn around my pinky, I had noticed my pinky was starting to kind of cramp up, and I was having to do some kind of stretches, and which I don't know if you've ever had to do, but I found a couple good pins on Pinterest about knitting stretches to do, but it's really more about extending your fingers and then bending them in and kind of flexing your wrist. But if I think of it, I'll try to put the link to it in the show notes, because especially if you're doing any kind of Christmas knitting or really hot and heavy, lots of knitting at this point in time, you might want to think about doing that. I'm not very good at taking breaks in my knitting and doing it on my own. I have a tendency to wait until something bothers me to do it. So I'm hoping the next clue on the Doodler that it is as simple as this last one is, where I can knit continental. So anything that doesn't require purling, if it's just straight knitting, you know, knit front and back, that kind of thing, I can knit continental pretty okay that way. My tension's a little bit different, but I don't think it'll matter too much on this. So I actually knit more 2 gauge using the needle size that most designers call for when I knit continental. So it's a looser gauge for me. Whereas when I knit English, the way that I tension my yarn, I just knit tighter. So those are kind of a couple things that I found out about myself. So knitting color work, which I haven't done too much on, I'm not very good at getting my tension even there. So that's definitely something that I know I need to work on as to kind of build my knitting skills there. So anyway, hopefully these projects have kind of inspired you to check different things out. Check my Instagram account out for sure if you want more information on these projects I'm working on. I'll hashtag the WestKnits Mystery 2015 knit along, and you can click on that and see all the other projects that if you want to get kind of that spoiler there. And like I said, hopefully the next clue will come out tonight, so I can be working on that tomorrow and over the weekend. So I guess until next time, I know this one's short, but I wanted to share something with you this week, and hopefully I've inspired you to try something new. And until next time, happy knitting!